The state's top court heard arguments over the parole board's absolute authority over inmates, but attorneys say the entire case may have been undermined.
I absolutely loved that child. I don't really want to go into a lot about those circumstances. I've dealt with that for the last 23 years.
Bobbie WIDDISON served 20 years in prison for the murder of her daughter Brianna Loveless back in 1996. Authorities alleged the child was abused. WIDDISON says when she was set to be released, the parole board changed its mind and gave her a natural life sentence.
All the guidelines that they asked me to do, programming, education, doing the things that I had to do in the penitentiary.
She sued, challenging the parole board's power. The Utah Supreme Court heard that case today, or as much of it as they could. She was unexpectedly granted parole earlier this year.
Your point seems to be that the Board of Pardons and Parole went out of its way to intentionally moot this case.
Correct.
Her lawyer says it's convenient.
If my client was so dangerous and such a risk to the community that she should be in there for life without parole, why did they suddenly change their mind without a decision?
The Utah Attorney General's office says the parole board acted within its power and reviewed her case.
The idea that the board acted unilaterally here is false. Ms. WIDDISON was invited to come to another hearing, and then she was offered a parole date, which she accepted.
The justices aren't sure how far they can rule on the parole board's authority.
What you're basically saying is that the board is letting people out on parole who they really don't think should be out, but they're somehow scared of getting bad case law.
They literally took an arbitrary and capricious standard.
WIDDISON says the parole board's power needs to be checked.
It's not fair. What they did to me, they do to other inmates there on a daily basis. They can say that they don't do them. I lived that life for 21 years, and I see those people that get treated that way because they don't have any recourse. There isn't any appeal process with the Board of Pardons.
The Utah Supreme Court is expected to issue a ruling in the case sometime in the next year. At the Matheson Courthouse, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.